can run on for a long time, run on for a long time, run on for a long time. Sooner or later, gotta cut you down.
Valparaiso sponsored NCAA football for the first time in university history in 1919. The team got off to a quick start, winning their first game, which was played here at VU on Brown Field, defeating the Chicago YMCA. That year, they went on to post a 5-3 record under Coach George Keoghan, which is very formidable for a first-year coach and football program. In 1920, the team played probably its most nationally recognized schedule, taking on opponents Harvard, Northwestern, and Notre Dame. The early 1920s were marked by the high performance of Millard Andy Anderson, who starred for VU during this time period. Andy was a three-sports star who participated in basketball and baseball in addition to football. While captaining the basketball team and catching for the baseball team, he also played quarterback, defensive end, and punter. He returned to Valparaiso in 1925 to coach both the football and basketball teams, as well as to act as the athletic director.
There's still some players that play more than one sport, but sports that go, or what I'm trying to say is it's really hard to play a fall sport then go to a winter sport. You got to play sports that have a season off in between.
In 1927, new coach Earl Scott was hired. Scott was also a very successful multi-sport star for Valpo, having played with and under Anderson during his playing career. He was hired to coach both the football and basketball squads. 2 years later, in 1929, Valparaiso hired its first long-term coach in J.M. Christensen. He would go on to remain at Valpo throughout the 1930s as the head football coach and in the same capacity with the basketball program. In Christensen's first few years, VU played one of its best stretches of football, particularly from the 1931 season until 1934. During this four-year period, Valparaiso posted only 4 losses, going an undefeated 7-0 in 1932. One of J.M. Christensen's best players during this time was Pete Rosinski. Rosinski not only captained the basketball team during his collegiate career, but he was also the halfback on some of these great football teams, most notably the undefeated 1932 squad. This team also featured future Hall of Fame coach Emery Bauer. Bauer was also a multi-sport athlete who stood out in football as an end. Rosinski and Bauer were able to pass the torch on to Bill Tapman in the latter half of the 1930s. Tapman anchored the line for Valpo, playing the center position. Throughout his career, he garnered many awards and played on numerous all-star teams, even earning a spot on Sports Illustrated's Silver Anniversary team. In 1941, under the direction of new coach Victor Dower, the football team suffered one of its worst seasons in program history as they posted a winless 0-7-1 record. 2 years later, Valparaiso University discontinued its football program due to World War II. This was not uncommon at the time, as many colleges across the country put their athletics on hold so that their able-bodied athletes could help defend our country. The program was resurrected just 2 years later in 1945 when the team posted a 6-1 record. A little-known freshman named Abe Gibron starred on that team. Gibron would later go on to play in the NFL for 11 seasons, earning All-Pro and Pro Bowl honors multiple times. After his playing career would finish, he began coaching. Eventually, he would be selected as the coach of the Chicago Bears for 3 seasons during the early 1970s.
Who's number 10 over there? Who's number 10 officiating?
That's Sabato from Cincinnati.
You tell him to mind his own business. I said so. He tell my quarterback they're fighting when I'm over here. He blame it on my quarterback. You tell him let the referee run this game.
Just the next season, legendary coach Emery Bauer was hired. Bauer starred at VU during his playing days and provided even more for the university during his coaching career. He is widely recognized as one of Valpo's best and most successful coaches. With that said, Emery took some time to get used to his new role as the team closed out the 1940s with a few subpar seasons. However, the Crusaders' luck was changed with the turn of the new decade. They were able to go 9-1 in 1950, a season which included 2 playoff games. After going 8-0 through the regular season, Valparaiso University was selected to play Wittenberg in the Lutheran Bowl. After defeating them, they were given the opportunity to play in the Cigar Bowl, played annually in Tampa, Florida. It was here that the team was handed their only loss of the season. The next year, the Crusaders were able to rebound from their Cigar Bowl loss by going 9-0. This remains only the second undefeated season in Valpo football history after the 1932 season. Head coach Emery Bauer, who was a player on the 1932 squad, was extremely proud to have been a part of both of these miraculous years. The 1951 season also marked the first time the university participated in a football conference. They played Butler, Indiana State, St. Joe's, and Ball State in conference and won the first ever Indiana Collegiate Conference crown. In addition to this, standout halfback Joe Parr was selected as the University Conference Player of the Year. Parr was a mainstay on these early 50s teams and was twice selected All-American. And the success wouldn't be short-lived, as every football team in the 1950s had over a 500 record, winning 2 more conference titles. Hoping to anchor these quality teams was Fuzzy Thurston and Rod Pop. Pop started at running back behind the great blocks of Thurston, a guard. Fuzzy is widely recognized to have one of the best professional careers of any Crusader athlete. He won 5 NFL championships while playing for the Green Bay Packers in the 1960s, in addition to garnering the first 2 Super Bowl victories.
I know Fuzzy Thurston is kind of like the face of the Valpo program. He's kind of like our claim to fame. Played for the Packers, actually got drafted, won a Super Bowl.
In 1957, Valpo experimented with a new technique by having 2 head coaches. In addition to veteran coach Bauer, Walt Rainier was brought on to assist. The exact idea for this is unknown, however it is believed that Rainier was there to help because Bauer also served as the baseball coach. Walt Rainier would remain on until 1965 when Emery Bauer was once again given the sole reins to the team.
I guess you could say some teams do have sort of double head coaches with their offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators, but usually it has to be one guy who's in control overall with the final say.
You have to have a leader out there, man. You got 2 of them who you gonna listen to. One's telling you to do one thing, the other one's telling you the other. What the fuck are you gonna do that?
I don't think that would be possible because I think 2 head coaches will butt heads too much because you need one to make all the decisions.
During this time period, Valpo had numerous standout players, including John Knight and Jerry Glogline. The 2 stars played together from 1958 until 1962. They were perfect complements to each other as Knight was a running back and Glogline a center and linebacker. Both earned All-Conference and All-American honors. In 1968, Emery Bauer would step down as football coach, handing over the reins to Norma Munson. Bauer would remain with the university until 1981 as the baseball coach and athletics director. In his first year, Munson would go on to win the Indiana Collegiate Conference title. However, he would only accomplish this feat one more time in his tenure, doing so the very next season in 1969. During this time, Coach Munson relied heavily on the blocking of standout guard Fred Doneth, who earned multiple All-Conference honors. Doneth was able to teach his ways to a young Gary Putz, who played alongside him at tackle in 1970. After being named All-American twice and an illustrious baseball career at VU, Putz would go on to be drafted by the New York Jets in 1973. He would play 10 seasons in the NFL, highlighted by winning the Super Bowl with the Washington Redskins in 1982. In 1975, John Belskis would come to Valparaiso. Just 1 year later, he led the nation in interceptions and earned All-American honors. During his career, he was also recognized as the Conference Defensive Back of the Year in 1977. That same year, Valparaiso would hire a new coach. Trying to emulate the success of Emery Bauer, they would once again choose a former player, this time off of the 1950 undefeated squad. Bill Koch was named Valpo's 13th head football coach in program history. Under Koch, the offense succeeded with the new air-it-out approach. Quarterback Scott Lane would routinely hit receivers Dan Bogar and Mike Healy. By the time all was said and done, Lane ended his career as the all-time passing and total offense leader in program history, while Bogar and Healy each own a share of the school's career touchdown receptions mark at 26. This high-powered offense came to a head in 1984 as Valpo posted a 6-4 record, the best season under Bill Koch. However, Koch would fail to go over 500 again, posting a winless 0-9-1 record in 1988. Koch would go on to be fired after the season. 1989 marked the beginning of a new era under head coach Tom Horn, but it took Horn a few years to get his feet under him, garnering only 5 wins in his first 4 seasons. The slow start may be attributed to VU's jump to the newly formed Midwest Intercollegiate Football Conference. Here they took on perennial powers such as Grand Valley State and Hillsdale College, while keeping intact local rivalries like St. Joseph's and Butler.
I know that they are 2 really good schools, especially Grand Valley State. Hillsdale, they're also pretty good. I actually got recruited by Hillsdale. Pretty good football team.
I think St. Joseph's are a bunch of hard-nosed kids who play really hard. They're very athletic. I just think they're kind of undisciplined. Seems as if every time we played them, we just played really soft, and they took advantage of us in that aspect. I don't understand how Butler is as good as they are at any sport, really. And I don't know if that's me being biased because I go to Valparaiso, but I feel like in football every year they do really well. They are here as of late, and they never seem to have that great of athletes.